So from small independent movies that you've done before to Kong, the big one, like how did that come about?
You know, it's such a complicated and interesting thing to sort of explain how it all happened, but I think it goes back to my love of big movies. Like, the thing that made me want to be a filmmaker was growing up on big sort of special effects movies and watching like making ofs on Discovery Channel when I was a kid, and that's what led me to art house cinema and foreign cinema and film history. And so after my last movie, Kings of Summer, I was very vocal that I wanted to try and do a big movie because I believe in the power of big movies and I believe in the reach of them. And that's what inspired me. And so I wanted to see if I could make a big movie that snuck in the ethos of an indie and, you know, like really tried to sort of turn on its head the idea of what a big movie is. And luckily, you know, Legendary and Warner Brothers are just cool companies that, you know, were willing to take a risk on a pretty crazy pitch that I had about Vietnam and monsters and, you know, all of that. So it was a pretty weird and crazy journey.
I think that's a mix that works really well, like the 70s and I mean, it's really, it kind of melts together.
Thank you.
Which one is your favorite monster movie of all time and why?
Favorite monster movie?
Yeah.
Honestly, my answer would probably be a little bit of a cheat because it's not a monster movie, but it is a, there's a Japanese anime called Evangelion, which is like a several-part series that's sort of like mechs and monsters, and the ideas in that and the visuals in that are forever seared in my brain. There's a South Korean film called The Host that I think also really flips on its head a lot of ideas of what a monster movie is supposed to be. I was very heavily influenced by that. I just love South Korean cinema in general. And the 1933 Kong is an absolute masterpiece.
The design was very much like inspired by that Kong, right?
Yeah, very much. It was me wanting to go back to the original and take him away from a anatomically correct ape to a biped, but then pushing him even further to that movie monster and that god where he's standing upright and he has a nobility and a pride and a sadness to him.
That's really cool. I mean, this movie will probably like open a lot of doors for you in terms of blockbuster filmmaking, at least. Like, is there anything in particular that you would like to do? I know that you have one thing now lined up, but is there anything else like a Marvel movie or maybe a Star Wars? Like, would you be up for that?
I'm probably gonna go make a small indie and get some stuff out of my system for a little bit, just to go make a really intimate, fun movie. But honestly, like the next big movie that I would really sort of like, Metal Gear Solid, the video game adaptation that I'm attached to, that is my baby. That's what I would want to fight. There's also a book, The Star Is My Destination, that I adore. But you know, I'm not really even thinking about that stuff right now.
How far along in the process is the Metal Gear Solid movie? Like,
we're developing the script right now, but that's such a complicated property and such a beautifully idiosyncratic property. And to really nail Hideo Kojima's voice and what makes that game special is such a narrow target. And so,
have you been able to meet him?
Yeah.
Is he going to be involved in the project? Like writing the script or something?
I met him several times, and he is an absolute like amazing human being and a genius, and I would love for him to be as involved as he can be.
That's kind of the feeling you get from him, I guess.